Alright, I'm going to do a quick guide on Madurai because that is my favorite class of operator. It's basically my favorite focus school, so let's get into it. Here we are in the simulacrum with Mag, and fun fact, if you jump to your operator and you look on the ground, you can be reminded of which particular focus school you are using, and for this, I am using Madurai. In my opinion, the best school. Fight me. So let's have a look at the Madurai Focus School, and this is the Madurai Focus tree. And we have, of course, in the middle, we have Phoenix Talons, so it's physical and operator damage increased by 30%. Notice how elemental damage is no longer part of this particular calculus, which does mean it got a little bit nerfed, but at the same time, operators do 30% more damage. That's going to factor into the amount of damage that you can do with Madurai. Power Transfer is the other passive, and this one is big because, yes, you've also got 100% critical damage on your amps for 20 seconds when you swap to your operator. That's fantastic. But on top of that, and this is the big one, 50% casting speed on switching to Warframe. In other words, you get natural talent for free when you swap back to your Warframe. So that's going to be fantastic. I think this also lasts for 20 seconds as well. Inner Gaze, Eternal Gaze, these are your waybounds for Madurai. They remain exactly the same. Increased energy and energy regeneration for both your amps and your Void Beam. Wonderful. On top of that, we now have the Chain Sling active, or passive, I guess. 50% energy efficiency on consecutive Void Slings, as well as the Sling Strength that is the way that you can actually apply more power strength to your Warframe when you do a Chain Sling. So what does that look like? Let me show you. When I was streaming Angels of Zariman for the first time, a lot of people were wondering how I was able to do this so many more times than they could, and that is because I was using Madurai. Ironically enough, you would have thought that this would be a Naramon thing, but it's not. And when I swap back to my Warframe, if you look at the top right hand corner, there is that buff that says 40%, and that is my Sling Strength buff. So, in theory, when I drop out, say, my dispensary, this dispensary is now a dispensary that also has an additional 40% power strength involved in it. Now, let's have a look at the first of the operator's abilities in Madurai. I don't mean the first ability, the number 1 ability, I mean the number 2 ability. We're back on the Madurai tree, and Contamination Wave is the second ability for Madurai operators. Basically, the idea is that you shoot out like an Arcoplasmor type shot, and it makes enemies more vulnerable to operator damage. And on top of that, we have Distilled Contamination. The way this works is that when you kill an enemy who's already affected by Contamination Wave, other enemies who are also affected by Contamination Wave, they become even more vulnerable to Contamination Wave. So that's, of course, going to be very, very important. So let me show you what that looks like. We're going to go up against some lower level enemies just to demonstrate the power of this particular thing. So we're going to coat everyone, or as many people as possible, in the Contamination Wave. And now notice how, like, this beam, which I'm going to be real here, is not a particularly strong beam. Like, I didn't actually make this beam particularly strong. It's just a trace gun. But see how, like, it's killing enemies so much faster? Taking some time. But now that we have suddenly gotten more shots off, just like that, it basically sped up. You're gonna have to take my word for it. It's a little bit difficult to see, but I guess if you pause the video, you might be able to see some higher numbers. Bottom line is, the first one took a bit of time to kill with my little tracer gun beam, but then the other one subsequently were a lot faster to kill, and that's the idea. So now let's have a look at the big one, Void Strike. This is the Madurai tree, and we're going to have a look at Void Strike. So the number 1 ability for Madurai operators. Obviously, now the idea is that you burn all of your energy in one foul swoop, but then you do 10% additional damage for every percentage of energy that you manage to consume. And this ability has a 40-second cooldown. Obviously, a lot of people are not very happy about the 40-second cooldown, but hey, it is what it is. On top of that, you also get 40% weapon efficiency for operators and Warframes while Void Strike is active. So what does this look like? Let me show you. We're going to go up against the higher level enemies now, and just as a baseline, as you can see, my Clamora, it does okay, but it's not the best, you know? It still does the job. It can land a lot of hits, but, you know, it's not doing a whole lot of damage. Fine. But if I activate Void Strike, night and day, as you can see. So, you may be thinking, okay, these things have a little bit of synergy involved as well. And there is. You can do this by basically dropping in a Void Contamination Wave, waiting for your energy to come back up, Void Strike, and then just kill them all. Something like that. Or if you use Virtuous Trojan, you could end up with something like this.
It is revealed later on that the operator is actually...
Holy Jesus! That's brutal! Now, the thing about Void Strike is that I personally would not recommend it in trying to use it with a Warframe weapon. Let me show you what I mean. We're going to go up against these Corrupted Heavy Gunners. Now, just keep an eye on how much damage I do with an orange crit. 23,000 on this test build. Okay, 23,000. Now, if I activate Void Strike, you'd think I should be doing a lot more. But I'm only doing 100,000 on a red crit, 74,000 on an orange crit, and then we're back to 23,000. I suspect that Void Strike is a 1,000% damage buff, but specifically base damage buff. Ergo, it's not exactly multiplying all of our damage by 10. So that's pretty much it. That's Madurai. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. How do you feel about the current state of Madurai? Let me know in the comments. Obviously, as I've said before, if you were a sweaty 6x3 solo tri-cap, I guess you are not a fan of the current Madurai. But for everyone else, seems fine to me. So until then, hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Warframe content, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye!